Hey guys, Marsing here, bringing another Dragon Ball Z Dokkan battle video, and so today we are going to talk about the upcoming Part 2 banners. They are going to be releasing in 5 hours time from when this video comes out. This video is dropping at 10 PM UK time, and the banners come out at 3 AM UK time. So that is going to be, was it 10 PM Eastern and 7 PM Pacific, I think. So basically, if you're seeing this video as soon as it comes out, if you've got notifications on and you're here right on the release, it will be 5 hours after this. If you're a normal global player, essentially it's 4.5 hours before when you'd be used to banners coming out, right? Because usually banners drop at 7:30 AM UK time, and they are releasing at 3 AM. So I will be up nice and early streaming my summons. Hopefully I'll see you guys there. Make sure to come by the stream. Hopefully we all get good luck with the summons. But for those of you who are contemplating, that's what this video is for. So summon or skip for the Part 2 banners. So we're going to take a look at the lineups of both of the banners. And we're going to talk about the pity coins a little bit as well, because a lot of people will be in an interesting situation depending on how much you summoned on the Part 1 banners. Because of course with the pity system, while some people weren't happy about it, we've talked about it quite a bit since it came out. I've made my thoughts on it fairly clear at this point. But obviously the great thing about the system, well, you know, regardless of what you think about the value, like how many coins you need, all that kind of stuff, the great thing about it was the fact that it carries over into Part 2. So if you're somebody who did a bunch of summons in Part 1 and you have a load of those coins, then obviously the incentive is going to be there to summon in Part 2, because depending on how many coins you actually manage to get during Part 1, you of course have the potential to be able to reach the amount needed to pick up one of the Part 2 units. So we're going to go through all of that information in the video. Make sure you guys hit that like button, subscribe to the channel if you are new, keep an eye out for that stream when the banners come out, and let's dive right in. So we have the splash banner art here for the BROLY banner, which is of course the Dokkan Fest banner, which will give you the special red coins, which of course can either be traded for normal red coins or for the actual special carnival coins, because they are interchangeable between the two banners. And this banner, I mean, we could pretty much have guessed a lot of the lineup for this banner, because of course when we get these dual Dokkan Fest banners, well, Dokkan X Carnival, but you know, 2 Dokkan Fest banners in a celebration, we always get a bunch of these dual Dokkan Fest characters returning. And so because of some of the units on the Part 1 banner, we already knew who some of the units on the Part 2 banner would be. And of course, the 2 specific ones I'm referring to is AGL Angel Super Saiyan 3 Goku and the Int Hirudegarn, right? Because Int Fat Boo and STR Dragon Fist Goku were on the Dokkan Fest banners in Part 1. I think AGL Blue Boys were on the banner in Part 1 as well. So of course we see Tech LR Zamasu here on this banner as well. And then of course in the splash art we can see the Videl, because she is the banner unit. So just like the Piccolo that exchanges into Vegeta, we have the banner unit, and of course, you know, Broly himself, obviously the headliner unit. And then if we take a look at the Carnival banner art, we can see here we have the new Gohan, obviously with the family Kamehameha standby. Then we have the Int Youth Gohan on the right of him, the 200% Bond of Master and Disciple leader. AGL Ultimate Gohan from Golden Week. This is his first return on a banner for Global, I think for JP as well. And then we have on the left of Gohan, Tech LR Broly. So obviously he got his EZA during this celebration. I think he got a very good EZA. He can hit like an absolute truck, and his defense is all right. Of course, we've seen from the details with the new Broly that with a revival unit on the team, having a character who is like a full-on glass cannon like Tech Broly isn't necessarily going to be as much of a risk anymore, with that safety backup of having a revival character. But either way, Tech Broly very good. So anyone who does not have all the copies they need for him, or doesn't have them at all, him being on the banner is very good. And then we have Sword of Hope Trunks. Sword of Hope Trunks has always been kind of a bit of a hit or miss unit, but obviously with so many of these super class characters now being buffed by the physical trio on some of these teams like Super Saiyans that they'll be sharing, you know, some of these units can look a lot better. So honestly, the full banner lineup is pretty decent. Like AGL Gohan's very much restricted to a Majin Buu Saga type team, but everybody else on the banner, I guess maybe other than the Int Youth Gohan, I feel like he's probably fallen off a little bit at this point, but everyone on the banner still very much usable, even if they're not necessarily top tier anymore. So the banner lineup's looking pretty good. Now, when it comes to the Dokkan Festival, obviously more units, same with the Carnival one as well, but more units are on the banner than we see on this initial splash page. If we take a look at the actual Dokkan Fest banner for part 1, we can kind of guess who some of the other units are going to be as well, right? Because we've seen from the art, we've got the Broly, we've got the Videl, then we've got the AGL Goku and the Int Hirudegarn in place of these guys. Texamasu in place of these guys, but then we have the 8-year LRs were on the banner. So obviously on Broly's banner, these guys will be replaced by STR, Super Saiyan 4 Vegeta and GT Goku. Gohan was on the banner, so he'll be replaced by Piccolo, and then the AGL Super Saiyans were on the banner, so they should be replaced by STR Cooler. So the 3 units at the end, I mean, Piccolo's still very much usable now, thanks to the trio. The GT Duo, again, still very usable. STR Cooler, not so much, but then neither are the AGL Super Saiyans, right? Some of these older Dokkan Fests are still going to end up on the banners. And then we had the Int Broly, who, of course, did end up getting his EZA. And then the AGL Super Saiyan 3 Goku, who has a Super EZA. So I did a video earlier today. Make sure you check that out, because we go over some of the theories and evidences and stuff like that. But I did a video and we were talking about the fact that the STR Legendary Super Saiyan Broly could potentially Super EZA in this celebration. And I feel like if he's on this banner in the place of the AGL Super Saiyan 3 Goku from the Part 1 banner, that would potentially be even more of an indication that he is going to get a Super EZA during this celebration. For the Int Broly spot, it's kind of hard to think who would be on here, right? Because Int Broly ended up getting his EZA. But in terms of EZAs for, like, related to movie 10, right, considering that's, you know, the part 2 banner, we don't really have any units that could get an EZA, like actual Dokkan Fest exclusives. Now, potentially, because there probably won't be, and there's not going to be banners in part 3, most likely. I mean, they could surprise us, but we haven't had any Bio Broly, like, summonable content. A lot of people are expecting that part 3 could bring us the EZA for the physical Goten and Trunks, so they could be on this banner in the place of Int Broly. And that would make a lot of sense if they were, in fact, by the end of the celebration, going to receive an EZA, because then this spot on the banner for both the banners would have been a unit that during the celebration got an Extreme Z Awakening, right? So we can kind of see what pretty much the full banner lineup is going to be, other than those last 2 slots, which honestly could be pretty much anything at this point. The Carnival banner is much harder to predict, right? Because we know we've got the Gohan. The banner is slightly different, I think, for Global and JP, right? Because Gogeta will be on the banner because JP had the Gammas instead of the Super Saiyan trio. But then obviously we've got the Future Gohan. We know the opposite is the Sword of Hope Trunks. Goku's opposite, which is the the Int Gohan, and then Metal Cooler's opposite is the Tech Carnival Goku, aka Birdku, so he will probably be on the banner. But then for the last slots, it's kind of hard to guess, right? Like the Turles Army, good EZA that was on the team. I guess their slot is probably the one that is where Tech Broly would be, right? Because he EZA during the countdown, Tech Broly EZA during the actual celebration itself. I know people were memeing about the if the part 2 unit was Family Kamehameha, then the Tech Go Bros will be on another banner, but fortunately they would have to be on this banner, right, on the actual Dokkan Fest banner, the Broly one, and there isn't really a spot for them unless I guess they make either this spot for Int Broly or Goku the Go Bros, but they don't usually have the counterpart to a TUR be a Dokkan Fest LR. And all the other Dokkan Fest LRs on the banner are all dual Dokkan Fest counterparts. So fingers crossed, no Tech Go Bros on these banners. But when it comes to these ones, we've got like the physical Broly trio. Doesn't really have an alternate that makes sense in terms of fitting into the theme. And then for some random TURs, we've got the Paragus, Great Ape Turles, and God Goku. I could see these being either like those old school 3 Goku, Goten, and Gohan like Family Kamehameha units, which would be terrible, right? Imagine summoning on the Carnival banner and you get a guaranteed like featured animation and then it's AGL Family Kamehameha Gohan, right? That would be pretty awkward. But yeah, we know the most part for the Carnival banner, but they do end up being 7 featured LRs. So there's going to be a couple of extra LRs on there. Birdcoo should be one of them because Metal Cooler was on the Part 1 banner. The other one, I'm not too sure. Obviously I think, is JP getting AGL Gohan as well? Because then Global would have to get another unit in the place of the Gogeta, which could be Omega, because of course he hasn't returned on Global yet, whereas he has on JP. The Super Saiyans, I think, had already returned on JP, so they were here on the banner instead of the Gammas. So those could be replaced by Omega Shenron on this banner for Global, and then Gogeta for JP. So, in terms of summoning or skipping for these banners, so it's going to be dependent a lot on your stone situation and your pity coin situation, I think, right? Because one of the big things that we talked about for global players especially is how all of these units will return for the 10th anniversary, which is going to be in February instead of July, because after the worldwide celebration the games are synced, which means for global we've gone straight from the anniversary into multiple back-to-back banners into the worldwide celebration, and then when the worldwide celebration wraps up at the end of this month, we're then going to only be like 3.5 months or so away from the next anniversary where these guys will return. So if you're free to play or you don't spend a lot of money on the game, honestly, the worldwide celebration banners, even in part 1, even with how crazy these units are, skipping is potentially the best idea, right? Just so you can have some of this, as much currency as possible, I guess, saved up, ready for these 10th anniversary banners, where not only are the 10th anniversary units themselves almost certainly going to be the new best units in the game, but the 9th anniversary characters will be on there. And even if he's not the #1 unit in the game anymore, obviously Beast Gohan is still going to be ridiculously good for a long time to come. Like, his just design is a unit that's going to age really, really well. So, you know, he's still going to be a great pull. AGL Broly, I mean, I don't think, especially with all these new buffs for the Broly teams and these movie boss teams, Broly's not going to have aged out of being usable in the next like 3 months. So saving for the 10th anniversary is definitely a way to go, but that's obviously up to you guys depending on, you know, your level of spending. If you're somebody who spends a little bit here and there and you're contemplating summoning, from what I've seen people talking about, like, obviously we got the initial idea when we read their kits. There have been some private server showcases go up now. Gohan definitely seems like a contender for being the best unit in the game. The family Kamehameha active skill does an insane amount of damage. The animation's awesome. Like, the new Dragon Ball mechanic thing is cool. This guy is an insanely powerful and fun unit. However, one of the things that we talked about a bit with this guy already, like on some of the streams, is that when it comes to the value of the 2 characters in part 2, Gohan is another one of many very, very strong superclass units. Like, we know that the game pretty much just prioritizes superclass characters. It's pretty hard to deny that at this point, considering the trend of releases that we've had over the last year or so, or even more than that, to be fair, going back further than that. So if you're somebody who does like your extreme teams and likes it when these teams get these buffs, the Broly is absolutely, like, this guy is the unit that his team wants. Even if you're not using him as a leader, right? If you're running the double tech Broly movie boss lead team, like from the part 1 unit, this new Broly isn't a super crazy hard hitter. Like, he does decent damage, but he's not like an insane hard hitter like the tech LR Broly EZA. But he brings a bunch of utility to the team. He has the domain, he has a revival, post-revival he's giving support. Like, this guy is super, super good for his team and will elevate his team significantly. Whereas the STR Gohan, whilst we're not going to say like he doesn't elevate his team, especially if he is, you know, if it becomes unanimous that he's the new best unit in the game, obviously he elevates the performance of the team overall. But on the teams that he is on, like the physical trio, or if we're talking about like Beast Gohan and stuff like that, their teams are absolutely swimming with like top tier super good character options. Whereas the Broly team, especially movie bosses in particular, some of these teams, Planetary Destruction, the new Uncontrollable Power category, like, these teams are not as inundated with crazy super powerful units that you can throw on if you're missing 1 or 2 of the other units, whereas the superclass one is. So whilst Gohan is a fantastic unit and definitely going to be very valuable to have. He's certainly a unit that if you'd pulled, like, say, the physical trio, you've got some of the other top tier units for their team, you definitely don't need him for the team. Whereas I feel like the Int Broly is going to make such a huge difference on that Movie Heroes team that he kind of has a bit more value than the Gohan, right? If you get what I'm saying. Even though Gohan is technically the better unit, at least that seems to be the case, he's a lot less necessary for the teams that he would be on to be considered like the best teams in the game. Like, they can still be considered the best teams in the game even if you don't have him. Whereas the Broly is going to make that double tech leads Broly team like up there into that tier of being one of the best teams in the game, right? So he is very, very good. So summoning or skipping, I mean, if you are going to summon, I guess it depends how your part 1 summons went as well, right? Like, if you don't have the tech Broly and you don't have the setup for the new movie bosses team, then this Broly doesn't have the same value. As a leader himself, he's not necessarily the best because only one of them can get the revive. He's not a slot 1 unit, but I think his leader skill is being underrated. I've seen people saying his leader skill is bad, but he has things like transformation boost, so he can get units like Physical Kid Buu on there giving a bunch of support, because he's got planetary destruction. I think transformation boost is one of the plus 30s actually, but he has uncontrollable power, transformation boost, and then revenge. He's got an interesting combination. But I think his leader skill could make some pretty fun and interesting teams. So he can be very good, but I guess it kind of depends where your extreme setups are. And then if you did pull the physical trio, or even if you didn't, this guy is going to be a crazy addition to superclass teams because he is very, very powerful. And last but not least, we did mention at the beginning, right, the whole pity coins thing. A lot of people are going to be in a situation where, depending on how much you summoned in part 1, you are going to be incentivized to summon for these part 2 banners because those coins do in fact carry over. So one of the things that I was talking about on the stream earlier is the fact that I have enough stones. I did the math for, you know, stones per summon. You get 10 of these coins for each summon. Then obviously you can trade in any bonus SSRs that you don't, that you already have rainbowed for extra ones of these coins. I have enough stones currently as it is now, without even picking up like the part 2 sales, that if I drop all of those stones into one of these banners, or both, it doesn't really matter because the coins are interchangeable. If I drop all the stones that I have right now into these banners, I will hit the amount of coins that I need in order to get the pity. So for me, obviously, then I've got a pretty good chance, hopefully, that I just drop all the stones that I have into one of the banners, pull the unit, and then I can just buy the other one with the coins, and then I'm all good to go, right? And I've got a copy of both the new units. So if you're in a somewhat similar situation where you know you're going to be able to spend a certain amount of stones on one of these banners and then have enough coins to do the actual, like, getting one of the units with the pity coins, then of course it almost seems silly not to summon, which I guess it's kind of the point of a pity system, right? Pity is great because it can help people who are going all in on banners to make sure they actually pull the characters. But then at the same time, it also is good for them business-wise because it would encourage people to summon in order to hit the pity, right? So if you went in super deep on those part 1 banners and now you're actually already pretty close to getting to the amount of coins you need to buy one of these units, it would almost be silly not to, so that you can then guarantee one of these part 2 characters. We do also know there will be ticket packs, but they are purchasable only. So when it comes to people who spend money on the game, a decent amount, whales, collectors, etc., who buy those ticket packs, chances are you already know if you're getting those or not. So that's not really going to have much of an effect for you, whether you summon on the banners or not. But I would say in general, for most people, free-to-play or low-spending players, even if you did dabble in the part 1 banners, I would suggest not summoning in part 2 unless you really, really want one of these units. I mean, some people will summon for their favourite unit in the game regardless. But I would say out of the two, Gohan is the better unit, but Broly is the one that more impacts his team, because this guy is going to turn that Tech Broly Movie Bosses team into an absolute monster. But I guess it's kind of up to you guys what you think. Let me know down below in the comment section. My advice right from the beginning of the worldwide, realistically, for a lot of free-to-play and small, low-spending players, as much as people don't like being told to skip hype stuff, is to skip summoning in the worldwide completely and save for the 10th anniversary. But if you are going to summon, either of these units are going to be super, super good. Gohan is a lot easier to use, right? Because if you don't already have a good villain setup, then Broly's not going to be as beneficial, whereas this guy can go on so many superclass teams and it's just going to be dropping bombs left, right and center. So let me know what you guys think down below in the comment section. Are you going to be summoning? Are you going to be skipping? Like I say, I will be live when the banners come out, so hopefully I will see you guys there. And for those of us who are summoning, let's hope that we all get good luck. So that is going to be it for the video, guys. This has been the Masked Ningen. Smash that like button, subscribe to the channel if you are new. Check out the links down below, and I will see you all again soon. Have a good one.